there, Powers and Colin. Hope you guys are having a great day today. It's your video lesson. It's your 3 things I'm going to talk about. I'll talk about those 3 things. And if you have questions at the end or want me to look at anything, feel free to let me know, and I will shoot you over a message. I will be in town until Wednesday the 4th. I'll be on summer vacation from the 5th to the 10th. If you get your message in time, I'll be more happy to answer it then. If not, I will be turning my devices back on June the 11th, probably at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll walk in my office. So let's get to it. So first thing is sitting position. I've noticed that as Powers gets older, he's able to hold that sitting position for longer. So that's a good sign. That's great. I mean, these things are obviously moving in the right direction. So what I would have him practice doing is how long can he hold that sitting position for? Because, like I said, if you're in martial arts and you can't hold the stance, you can't do the form, right? It's the same thing here. That if you want to be able to play music, you got to be able to hold this thing, right? So, like I said, having it here, heart to heart, and then having parachute, thumbs up with the tunnel. Good job on the tunnel, by the way. Last time I noted that was very good. Keeping his fingers right over top, right? How long can he hold it for? I would seriously actually have a competition with him. You get a dining room chair out and you sit holding I think he has another guitar. Maybe you can hold one of the guitars and he could hold his nylon guitar and see who can actually hold the position longer. For a kid like him, for his age, if you get like 30 seconds to a minute out of it, you're doing pretty good. Less and more, it's all across the board at his age. It's not till like 7, 8 that they kind of like get what we're doing. And you have to do less of the Jedi mind trick stuff, and you get more content, or you move faster through the content. 8 is when you have to really truck through, but like 7 is like really kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're playing guitar now. We're not playing just games. So like you said, I have to think about. Anyway, so that's what I would practice, and then maybe even put toys like we did before. Put toys in like on the feet and on the knees. That would be great for him, kind of like keep him from losing his position, right? And then point number 2 is actually an off the guitar thing you can do. And I talked a little bit about it last time, according to my notes. But listening to music, listening skills. There's a difference between listening to a bar song by Shabuzi versus listening to Mozart. There just straight up is. As much as I try not to be a musical snob, I do have an affinity for high information music. Stuff around my room, for example, in my what I do outside of teaching. So I've always been a big fan of young people listening to high information music. In addition to listening to stuff for fun, like do I listen to like fun stuff, or do I listen to stuff that I just listen to for pure enjoyment? Yeah, absolutely. Like stuff that like I'm not like trying to figure every chord, or it's stuff that I find entertaining, right? It's music, my guilty pleasure stuff. Do I like Ariana Grande? Well, no, but like Olivia Rodrigo has some pretty cool songs. So yeah, if you put them on, I think they're kind of neat to listen to. But as far as is becoming music education, what I would say is like make sure you're listening to the CD that accompanies the Suzuki Book 1. Those songs were selected because they are teaching stuff the same way that my son, when he was doing Twinkle Together, he didn't know it, but I knew it. The other parents didn't know it, because I'm not sure if they're trained or not. But I was hearing stuff that was in Dorian or Aeolian, and a certain pitch set, and then it was in 7/8 time. It was like, whoa, this is dense music. There's actually, what requires higher information is there are advanced musical concepts happening behind it, not just a couple of chords being played over and over again. Or like a fast solo isn't necessarily high information music. It just means that it's being played fast. But what are they playing? Anyway, so music is a sound art. He should be listening to this stuff. Now, what you do is you make it a game. You listen to it and go, okay, figure out what you're listening for. So say if you're listening to Lightly Row, for example, you go, okay, does he ever get loud or soft music? So you want to ask probing questions. The same way that my teachers, when I was in school, they would drop the needle. They had needles back then. They had record players, and the professor would drop the needle, and we all sit there very quietly listening to Bach. Listen to the Brandenburg Concertos, and he's like, okay, now listen for the dynamics. What do you hear happening? And I think you should ask the same questions to Powers, like put on Light Row, and then, oh, did you hear it? Did you hear a lot of notes? Did you hear a little bit of notes? Can you figure out what one of the notes is? Does the music stay the same volume? Does it get louder or softer? Is it loud or is it soft? My son does that from school. He was loud and soft, like loud and soft. So you can find a spot in music that does that. Try to connect it to things he's learned in school by different volumes of things. Right? Is it going fast or is it going slow? Right? My son had to work on that when he was in pre-K. With the goal was to get him to line up, sit on a spot, write his name, and those are things you can actually connect to what he's doing here. For example, he can practice the letter names. He can practice writing his letters by writing the letters of Twinkle, right? So when I was teaching at the school, at the university, they loved it when we today we're going to throw a math element into it, or we're going to throw another element. They like that kind of stuff, or cross connection of different subject matters, right? So that was always a big smiles on people who ever were looking at the stuff I was doing. He talked about triangle trade, right? Because they were talking about music during pre-colonial times or whatever, and that's cool. He's bringing a historical element into the into music, right? So that's what I would do with listening. It's one thing to put it on, and it was called passive listening. And what we're talking about here is active listening. Is put the recording on, and then what do you hear, and give him a tangible, right? You can't be like, oh, it was fast. Okay, good, we're done, right? Oh, we heard notes in there. Maybe it was one of the notes we know. Oh, cool. Can you write those letters out? Can you practice your writing skills for music and writing? Write the letter B, write the letter A. Right? That's what my son's working on. He's roughly about the same age. Right? So that's what I would do to get better at music. And to finish my other point here, I just remember I was supposed to talk about it, is that the quickest way to get better at music is to listen to music and listen to it in a thoughtful way. When I write music during the daytime when I'm not seeing students or grading materials or making the plan for everybody, I work on composing and working on new pieces. And so what I'll do is I'll find an artist I really like, and I'll listen to 10 of their songs and write down 5 things I really like about what that artist is doing, and I'll try to replicate that in something that I'm trying to work on, and I'll combine it with other tools that I've learned over the years. So having him learn that now, of going, listen to music, but then critical listening, that's a skill that'll come back to play huge if he chooses to make music a huge part of his life, or any part of his life, right? So you don't want to wait till you're older like I was and learn this, because it takes forever when you're older, right? Better learn it now when you're young. And then point 3 is this next part of Twinkle. So I know he has this. I know he has the G, G, D, D, E, E, D, right? The next part of that's going to be this. C, C, B, B, A, A, G. That looks like this slowed down. C, C, B, B, A, A, G. Have him write it out. Have him listen to the song. See if he can slow it down and go, oh, that's where that happens in the song. Did you hear? It's C, C, B, B, A, A, G. Let's play it on your guitar. So it becomes more fun. I think it becomes more fun, or it gets them more interested if you're interested too. It's when I was a younger teacher and I kind of sat back and go, God, when's I getting here? Something. But the students just checked out. But when I became engaged in the material as the adult in the room, they became in turn engaged in the material, being the student in the room, and that's how I got excited. Because I remember teachers I had. I remember one teacher, fine guitar player, fine teacher, it just didn't click, right? And she was like, I could tell she was checking her email during my lesson, or giving me stuff that was not relevant to what the curriculum was, things that she was interested in, but things that I wasn't interested in, and therefore I checked out. Versus a teacher who was like, oh, this is what you're into, let me give you things that you're into that teach you something, right? So when you do it that way, when you're excited, he gets excited too, right? Awesome. So work on those things for me, and if you have questions, let me know. If not, I'll catch you same time next week. 2 weeks.